The very thing that's keeping the tourists safe in Jamaica. Are you ready for this one? And I will link the source and everything verbally, so don't go search for no link. If you listen to the whole story, I will send you to this right here. Alright. Are you looking at your ticket to Jamaica and thinking, why on earth did I decide to go there? With its army curfew, state of emergency, and spiraling murder rate, the Jamaican government has just extended its state of emergency until May and has advised tourists not to leave their hotels unaccompanied. But don't go online just yet to see if you can scrabble some money back on your flight. I am writing this while sipping a rum and listening to laughter and reggae music in my local bar just a few miles from the picturesque parish of St. James, where in the past 6 months, 355 people have been murdered. And no one here, me included, feels a bit scared. Remember, I know, me say, no one here included me feel a bit scared. This is because if you know the background to this new wave of violence, you understand why the tourists keep on flocking to the island and are pretty much not afraid. Or, indeed, any law-abiding citizen has pretty much nothing to fear for. I'm not saying that the law-abiding citizens that live there don't fear, but majority of them have nothing to fear. Here in Western Jamaica, we are a world center of excellence, not just for murder, but for one of the world's fastest growing global industries, the scamming trade. You could argue that Nigeria, where it originated, competes for the title, but the Jamaican industry is, in my opinion, far more innovative. The Jamaicans, they don't bother with the discredited Nigerian prince email. That's old technology. The telephone is the new tool. It was a Nigerian who accidentally introduced scamming to Mobe. The way how the Jamaican them do it good though, you would have think that it was a Jamaican that invented scamming. You heard me? I said it was a Nigerian who accidentally introduced scamming to Mobe. Now you're gonna ask how me know that and why. He set up a legitimate call center whose purpose was to chase up bad debt. He set it up right there in Jamaica. This enterprising fellow had bought a lot of unpromising debt from American utilities and retailers and set a workforce of Jamaicans on phones to harass people, cajole, or persuade the indebted customers to pony up at least a percentage of what they owed. The company was a success, but something happened in that office that started the epidemic of scamming that has indirectly led to the army going from house to house searching for guns only a few miles from where I am now sipping my second rum. What happened in that call center, you see, was that a Jamaican employee rang the wrong number. Yeah, I'm called the wrong number. Without knowing it, they gave their usual spiel about the bailiffs, court appearances, and credit downgrades to an old woman in the States who actually, she had no outstanding debt. But she still paid $100 over the phone out of ignorance, fear, or stupidity, or maybe she did have Alzheimer's and dementia and was left alone. From that moment on, the word spread that you didn't need to buy a debt to collect it. You see, that was the hook. So, idiotic were some of these people. And again, they weren't only idiotic, they were elderly that were afflicted by Alzheimer's and dementia, things of those nature. You just needed a story, basically. And good stories, you know, say, Jamaicans love to tell those. Alright? A few other factors helped. Locals have learned now from tourists not only to imitate an English accent or an American accent, but to recognize regional accents and in many cases to mimic them. So in other words, they were able to tell where this accent came from. In America, that's a southern accent. Okay, that one right there sounds like a New York accent. That type of stuff. While they were serving you your pina colada at the Sea Grape Terrace, they were listening closely. Jamaicans also justifiably have a somewhat relaxed view about breaking the law. After all, slavery was a fully sanctioned legal... Let me say that again. After all, slavery was a fully sanctioned legal arrangement. In addition, 200 years of plantation servitude was long enough to raise to a prestigious art form the activity of bilking some lazy rich white person far away on the other side of the ocean. Or maybe they were just elderly and again afflicted with Alzheimer's or dementia. You notice I keep putting that in there because I don't want nobody come say Soul Flow TV say slavery, say scamming was reparations and we are milk all white people because them stupid. I'm saying I am in no part, means, or shape endorsing scamming, but I am giving you all of this piece with my own twist. A little update. Alright, so, and it can be found at life.spectator.uk.co.uk. Alright? The kids have proved particularly good at the job. A few years ago, I would walk into the bar I was sitting in now, sipping my third rum, and see 3 teenagers, each with 3 cell phones apiece. All of them would be at work, weaving their stories to con their clients. Most scams evolved from the simple proposition that the client must send a large sum of money to release an even larger one. So you would have 3 teenagers, right? And them would have got build up a big spliff and them say them a whole of vibes and them would bounce ideas off each other and each one of them had 3 cell phones apiece. And by the time them go drink a one drink, you know, may I say a magnum, whatever, and build a vibes and bun a spliff in the morning there, them head hot up and them ready to do their business. They would tell the Americans or indeed Europeans, though not in so great a number, that they had won $1 million on the lotto. But because they hadn't filed a claim and had no doubt lost the ticket, they had to pay an upfront handling fee of about $50,000 to release the prize. The odds of this working were shortened by the fact that the boys in the bar were not calling random numbers. So don't get it twisted. But people from their call list that a brethren in Las Vegas had got a hold of people who had proved to be bad gamblers and likely to make poor decisions around money. Clever, you might add. The scammers and their many supporters justified the activity on moral grounds, calling it reparations or back pay for slavery, and pointing out that if the white people were so stupid and greedy to send the money down, then they had to take some blame when they had it stolen. Which, some point of that seems fair enough, but remember the one them with the Alzheimer's and dementia. As the industry developed though, so the scams became more sophisticated to stay ahead of law enforcement and to remain effective. Not to mention law enforcement officials started taking part. I have a scammer friend, you see, who is a genius. I would love to acknowledge the publicity, but I will call him X here because I have some appointments in my diary later this month which I would hate to miss on account of being dead. Although a skinny little kid, just out of high school, X is acknowledged as a titan in this business. X wears the industry uniform of tights, brightly colored denim pants, an expensive t-shirt, you know, and polo shirt thing and thing real, a long sleeve cashmere cardigan and a headscarf knotted around the chin in the style of a British monarch. This is a strange outfit. I always thought in a homophobic country, I was told that it was descended from the original Nigerian scammer who used to dress so, who they say was also gay and he favored urban chic fashion. I am sure the lads here would choke on their Hennessy if they knew that their top role model was a homosexual. But it is one of the amusing things about Jamaica that the homophobes, of whom I am afraid there are many, are simply unable to recognize a gay person. No matter how outrageously queer they appear, they still are unable to recognize a gay person. Or maybe them just really don't care. The headscarf and the long sleeves are to ensure the skin whitening products are all scammers used to do not go to waste. So bleaching the skin have become a part of the uniform, so to speak. Girl, him red out, him white out, and say him have enough money because enough money he take for bleach and them thing there. And plus, him get new beamer and them something there. And call the boy light and bright and white. Now, some want him. That kind of thing drove that. So anyway, X prefers elderly clients though. I particularly remember him telling me about a lady called Dolly from Naples, Florida, whom he occasionally scammed. Successfully at that, I might add. He told her in a Jamaican accent that he was working in a DHL post room and that he had noticed that when some customers accidentally overpaid, that the excess sum of money was placed in an escrow account which his friend Sandra in accounts could access. But to steal the money, they had to have a bank account unconnected to either of them to send that money to. Would Dolly be prepared to receive the money and pass half of it on? Keep the other half for herself. He was looking at the computer now, and he said, and there was $18 million in the account. X then called the same number, affecting not just a Alabama accent, but also with a gender change, so he's a woman now. And as Sandra told Dolly that she had worked for 5 years at DHL accounts and her friend Delroy was right about what he had told her. Wanna catch a mix up there? So he turned into Sandra and he told Dolly, and the same person would just talk to Dolly, and now he is calling out Sandra from accounts to confirm what. Oh, my belly. They just needed her permission and bank details to send the 18 mil. While Dolly waited for the cash to turn up in her account, X called her again. And this time, you can't put on Jesus. This time he called her as an executive from New York, DHL head office in Newark, New Jersey, informing her that he had noticed the illegal transfer and had put a stop to it. So business frig up here now. From the bar in my village, X spoke to Dolly in a Brooklyn drawl this time. Lady, you know you in trouble, right? I'm calling the FBI and you could be looking at about 8 years for wire fraud. After listening to her protestations, he said, okay, cause she a beg. You seem like a nice lady. I may be able to help you. X suggested they could continue with the scam and split the 18 million in 3 ways. Then he introduced one last element, a bribe he had to give to his assistant at head office to turn a blind eye on the day they did the transfer. Now, you remember, X a one person, It was only $25,000, but they needed it in cash. And if Dolly didn't come up with it, he still had the threat up his elegant sleeves that he would report her to the FBI. Dolly never want them problems there. So, I always said to X that, you see, if you were working at Goldman Sachs, you would be a billionaire. Naturally, It being Jamaica, new language has blossomed around scamming. X would arrive in the bar, the one where I was now sipping my fourth rum, so I start get tipsy. And every time him get a big lick, him gonna say, me bingo! Me bingo! Bingo being the verb to receive the cash from a big deal. He would place a brick on the bar. That's a wad of notes to you and to me who don't know what brick mean. And he would buy drinks for everybody in there. Hennessy, that was the scammer's tip of choice. Not so much to drink, but them use it to pour around a circle around their car and light the circle and then throw $100 bills into the ring of blue flames. In my hamlet, boys of 14 are pulling $50,000 out of the trade a month. They build their mummies' houses. They purchase their older siblings a car. They pay for medical procedures for family members. They dispense large amounts of money around the community. In one extraordinary case, a boy of 15, and notice I said extraordinary case. This boy was 15 years old, and he actually paid for street lights to be installed in his community so that they could cut down crime in his community. For the past 5 years, I too have quietly enjoyed the benefits of the industry. With all this money swirling around, there are lots of bars and parties, and most people, they are in a good mood, especially this time of year. Christmas has come. I also enjoy better internet and mobile phone coverage here than I do in first world countries like Britain and the USA. The scammers are such important customers. But lately, I'm seeing another side to this operation, particularly as the younger and younger kids have mastered the art. The problem is that at 14 years old now, crime boss, once you have a PlayStation, a sound system, and all the Burger King you can eat on KFC, there isn't much else that you need until that is men turn up and convince these boys that any self-respecting teenage scammer will want to protect him head need a gun. And that is where the trouble starts. There is no arbitration process when the natural problem of their trade arise, like the splitting of profits when a team of scammers have worked on a client and has landed the big prize. So disputes that used to be a rumble or held in grudges are now being settled with guns. Last week in Mobile, a 15-year-old was caught with an AK-47 in his possession. But that youth, he was not going to aim that rifle at you or me unless we had been doing business with him and had crossed him in him scammer business. Thieving at gunpoint is not the scammer's modus operandi. It's beneath them. It's like an inside trader trying to steal your watch. Scammers consider themselves more like, say, white-collar criminals. They are masterminds. They're not hoodlums, really. In the past 2 years, only one tourist has been killed, and that was a Canadian. The last British tourist to be killed was a woman in downtown Kingston in 2001. The scammers would never intentionally harm a tourist because they have no reason to. The money, it just isn't good enough for them to bother with that kind of nonsense. Which is why, if you do come to Jamaica on holiday, the person who is most in danger of being robbed by a yardie is the granny that you left behind at home to answer the phone in the other part of the world, like Canada, England, or the USA. And like I myself, SoFlo TV just mentioned, why? Because granny might have a touch of Alzheimer's or dementia, and when she answers the phone and you are away on your splendid vacation in the Caribbean and she's feeling abandoned and lonely, She might just talk to people because she needs some attention and company, and then you know them get in her brain, and before you know it, she pull out card and start send number and transfer cash, and I saw the thing go. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this one. It's SoFlo TV, man. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And if you listen to the whole thing, you would know that I was reading this, and I actually did leave you the link verbally while I was reading. So don't come ask me in the comment section which part me get this from. I'm out. Peace.